Hi, and welcome to our training. My name is Joel Broughton. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Kristen, and today we're going to be talking about ad copy, advertising copy that sells. And we're going to be going through specifically how to write advertising, classified ads, online ads, really the concepts behind it. And we're going to be talking about different ideas in terms of creating these ads. We're going to be talking about why you want to write the ads and what you're trying to accomplish with them. And then we're going to get into a little bit of the success and the mindset behind what you're trying to do in the big picture to be able to use these advertisements to help your business. So let's just get right into it. Let's talk about the purpose of a good ad. There really, truly only is two simple things that you want your ad to do, okay? And I've talked to a lot of people over the years, and they're trying to write the perfect ad, and they try to write a whole story, and they're trying to pre-sell their prospects in the ad, and they're trying to explain their business or sell their business or talk about their products. And what happens is they confuse things. And prospects that are confused are just going to not bother. They're going to move to the next ad. So we only want to do two things, and here are the two things. Grab a piece of paper and a pen and write these down. Number one, get attention. You want to get attention with your ad because often in classified ads, whether they be online or offline, in a newspaper, in a magazine, whether they be on the internet, people are bombarded constantly with advertisements. So your ad needs to stick out and grab their attention. And the second thing that your ad needs to do is just simply get them to respond or get a response. All right? Have them phone a phone number, have them go to a website, have them call you directly. Whatever it is that you want that prospect to do, you need to encourage them to respond to the ad immediately. So again, there really only is two purposes to an advertisement, a classified ad or an online ad. One is to get their attention. Two is to get them to immediately respond. There is nothing else that you need to do in your advertisements because when they respond, that's when you're going to start the selling process. That's when you're going to start actually providing more information about your offer, about your business, about your products and services, about the opportunity, whatever it is that you're offering them. Once they've responded, now you have that opportunity to sell to them. Before that, in a tiny little classified ad or in an online ad that really doesn't have a lot of words or a lot of space, you can't talk about your whole business. You can't talk about yourself. You can't talk about all these different things in a small little written ad. So again, simply get attention and get a response. So let's talk about how to write a good ad copy to be able to do those two things, which is get attention and get response. There are three simple things that I use all the time which have consistently worked for over a decade for me without any deviation. The first thing is a strong headline, and the headline is what's going to get their attention. The headline is going to take up the majority of time. You're going to want to spend at least 75% to 80% of your time writing your headline. Now, the second part is the body, which is just a short description to get them to read and continue to be interested. And the third thing is the call to action, which is the specific action you want them to do. So let's break these down a little bit more. When you're writing a headline, you always want it to specifically talk to the audience in terms of what they are looking for or what they want to accomplish. So if you're writing an ad for a business opportunity or a make money from home type opportunity, which a lot of us are in that industry, so I'll focus specifically on that, we want to grab their attention with what it is that we're offering them that they want, which is getting paid from home, making money the easy way, making money online, making a certain amount of money per week or per month, all right, things like that kind of draw them in. We want to focus, again, not on ourselves. We don't want to focus on our product or our business or ourselves. We want to focus on what it is the prospect wants or is looking for, that this need or this want that they have that we can fill. Also in the headline, we want it to stand out. So we usually bold the headline. We usually write the whole headline in all capitals. Sometimes we'll put an exclamation point at the end. just to make it really stand out. Now, the body is very simple. It's just kind of a few little intriguing words or phrases that kind of get the person interested enough that the headline draws them in and draws their attention, that the body then kind of gets them interested enough to take the action that we want. So normally we'll write something, again, very simple, and we like to keep these short and sweet. You don't want to go on and on and on starting to sell the prospect. You only want to put enough information in there that gets them intrigued and gets them interested so that they will take action when it comes to either going to your website or phoning you or whatever it is that you want them to do. So the body, again, you might say, you can work at home full time. It's a simple business. You might want to say a couple of words about what they would be doing, if they're going to be sending out mail, if they're going to be returning phone calls, if they're going to be doing selling or whatever. Again, use simple phrases, use simple words. The less truly is more in an ad. We really don't want to give away too much of what we're doing or too much of our business. If the prospect has questions after they read your classified ad, that's actually a good thing. Okay? If they have questions, if they don't fully understand what it is that you're doing and they're intrigued enough to say, geez, I wonder what this is all about. I wonder if this is something that I could do. I wonder if this is something that can get me what that headline says it's going to provide me with. All right, so that's the body. It's just going to be usually either one sentence or two sentences or a few words thrown together. And then the call to action is very important. A lot of people really miss the boat on this because they want to write a big, long, flowery ad and get prospects interested. But the call to action is very simple. Visit our website or for full information, go to www.and-then-your-website.com or call, and you can leave your phone number or you can leave a voicemail phone number. You can also have them mail for information, send a self-addressed stamped envelope for information and put your mailing address, or you can say send $2 and a self-addressed stamped envelope. I mean, the call to action really just has to get them to request information from you in whatever means that you're going to provide it to them in, whether it be on your website, whether it be through a pre-recorded phone call, whether it be going to a voicemail so you can collect their information, their mailing address or their phone number so you can talk to them, or have them write to you and through the mail directly, or have them email you, whatever it is that you want, to provide in terms of the system to get the information to them. You put in that call to action. The easier it is you make it for them to act, or the different options you give them, the more responses you'll tend to get. So if you just tell them to write you a letter, a physical letter, and mail that in, you'll probably get less responses than if you put a phone number for them to just call a phone number. But if you put both, or if you put both and a website, you'll tend to start to hit everybody, because you got to remember that not everybody likes to talk on the phone. So, if you just put just a phone number, some people might be scared of that. They won't want to talk to you, so they won't want to call the phone number. A lot of people just like going to websites and checking things out immediately, instantly finding out what it is. And so if you don't have a website, you might be disqualifying some of them. Some people like writing in and getting information through the mail, so that's a good option for them. So you've just got to decide what option or what options you're going to provide them with, and put that in the call to action, whether you're going to have a website and a phone number, a website, a phone number, and a mail, or just a mail option, and we're going to include that. So that's really just simply how to write a good ad. Again, focus on the headline. That's what's going to draw them in and draw their attention. A short little descriptive body phrase, whether it be a few words or a sentence, and then a call to action. Now, most advertisements, if you're looking at magazine advertisements, classified ads specifically, or newspaper classified ads, you're going to keep your ads less than 25 words. Most newspapers and magazines will bill you as you start to go over 25 words. So you're going to keep this very nice and short and sweet. The other thing to keep in mind, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more, is the length of the words that you use. You want to keep your words you don't want to use too lengthy of words, because sometimes they start to spill over in the other lines. And depending on the publication, they might start breaking up words and putting hyphens in them, and then it's a really difficult ad to read. So, just make sure that you really truly, as you're writing and putting together your ad, you know where you're putting it, and what the specifications are of the newspaper or the magazine or the publication, whether it be online or offline. So we're going to go through a couple of other things in terms of writing a good ad. The length of the ad, again, which we just briefly touched on, keeping it under 25 words or less is normally a good guide, all right? Because, again, most newspapers, magazines, and classified ads, even online, they tend to only give you a certain amount of space or a certain amount of words. And so you'll have to learn to put a lot of punch in a short amount of words or in a short amount of space. Bolding. Using bolding on your whole ad is not a great idea, but using bolding on your headline and or your phone number or your website is a great idea because, again, it draws attention to things you want to draw attention to. You want to draw attention to your ad and to your headline specifically. So in every case that you can, you want to spend the extra money, if it's an extra few dollars, just to bold your headline. You don't need the whole ad bolded. You don't have to pay extra for that. Bold the headline, capitalize the headline, and really have it grab the attention. Also, especially when you're doing things, you know, in magazines and newspapers, a lot of the classified salespeople or the newspaper salespeople will try to sell you display ads, bigger advertisements in different sections of the newspaper, different sections of their magazines. They'll try to sell you half-page, full-page ads. Unless you're going to go all the way to a full-page ad, display advertising generally doesn't pay for itself. Okay, display advertising generally costs a lot more, takes up a lot more room, and doesn't get you a huge amount more of people responding to the advertisement. So just watch that as you're talking to the different salespeople. Of course, they're trying to sell space in their newspaper. They're not all necessarily looking out for your best interest. So, you know, you always start with just a simple classified advertisement if you're in a newspaper and a magazine, see how it goes, and you can do testing, but don't constantly be running display ads unless you know specifically that they're getting a significant higher response. Same thing online with banner advertising and with you know, different advertising that you're paying just to display it. I often will say, you know, especially online, if you're going to be running advertising, paying per click will always outperform paying for, you know, eyeballs on the ad. So people looking at your ad, if it's just displaying it, that's great and wonderful, but really what you want is you want to be paying for the actions, which are when people are clicking on your ad, they're visiting your website. So just watch what you're paying for, you know, when you start placing these advertisements that you've written. The other thing I like to do too is in my advertisements, I always like to put a phone number. And normally what I do is I have the prospects call the phone number. I'll leave a short little message for them and have them leave their contact information. So I can collect their name, their address, their phone number, their email, whatever it is that I ask them for on the voicemail. And also I usually have a website where they can, you know, opt in for information. They can provide us with their name and address and everything again so that we can either call them, we can email them information, we can mail them information, we can provide them information immediately on the website. But providing a technological way, which is through the website, and then kind of a non-techy way, which is dialing into a phone number for information, often gets a bigger response than just one or the other. Of course, you know, having people mail in for information, you can do that too. That's going to attract the people specifically that like doing direct mail or being involved in that type of business. You know, so that's kind of a few other things in terms of writing the good ads. One difference that I want to talk about a little bit too online is that sometimes length isn't as much of an issue because you're not necessarily paying for the space so much as paying for either the clicks or the actions or the people looking at your advertisement. So you can often add pictures, you can often add bigger text, you can add colors, you can add all kinds of things. So take advantage of that without going overboard. You still want it to look professional, you still want it to grab attention, but don't go crazy with putting a rainbow of colors through your ad just because you can. You still want people looking at it and responding to it. Again, you know, your goal specifically is just to catch their attention and get them to take an action. You don't need to sell them. You don't need to add too much information that's going to overwhelm them in the advertisement. So let's just move on to advertising strategies because this, I think, is the most important part of our advertising training today, which is tracking your success, reinforcing your success. All right. When you start advertising, whether it be in newspapers or online, you need to be able to have a way to track what it is that you're doing. Okay. You need to be able to know, okay, well, I spent, let's say, $50 on an advertisement, or let's say I spent $12 on an advertisement or $100 on an advertisement. How many prospects did I get for that money? You need to be able to know that. Now, as you get more and more experience, you'll get better at this, but when you're first starting, don't go out and run, 15 or 20 or 30 different advertisements and different mediums and send them all to the same website, okay, or send them all to the same phone number, because you'll have a hard time determining where those prospects are coming from. So when you're first starting out, what I recommend is that you pick one or two publications that are in different areas. For instance, like maybe you'll pick one publication that's in New York, one publication that's in California, and you'll send them both to the same phone number. Well, when somebody calls in from California, it's from the California newspaper or magazine. And you know that when they call in from New York, that's the publication they're calling in from. If you go and you start running advertising in all the different boroughs of New York, all the different, communities in New York State, it starts to get muddled, and you start to not know which publication is doing well and which publication is not doing well. So tracking your success is very important. And like I said, that's the easiest way to do it, is just pick different states and just run them in different states. Now, you'll get the odd person that was visiting their aunt in New York, and then they flew back to California, and they took the newspaper with them, and they called in. But that's not going to skew your results or your success very much. One or two people here and there that pick up a newspaper in one state or find the information in some other state and then go back home, and that won't change your results enough to make a difference. All right? So track your success, track your numbers, figure out how much it costs you per prospect as you're running your advertisement. So again, let's say you run a $12 advertisement in a weekly newspaper out in California. Well, how many phone calls did you get for that $12? Did you get 6? Did you get 12? Did you get 20? Did you get 24? Let's say, for instance, you get 12. Well, 12 phone calls, and let's just say, granted, you could understand everybody and you got all their addresses, and that's going to cost you $1 per prospect through that newspaper. Now, based on that, obviously, you're not going to be able to determine yet whether or not it's a good cost or not a good cost in terms of your success yet, until you see the results from doing your mailings or doing your sales. Okay, when you either phone them back or you do a mailing to them, or they go to your website and decide to buy or not. So once your mailings are done, or once your phone calling is done and you've got some sales, then you can determine, well, geez, look, I spent $12, I got 12 prospects, so it cost me $1 per prospect, and let's say you made, let's just say, $20 back. All right, well, now you know that you got an $8 profit from that advertisement. Well, you're going to continue to want to run that advertisement week after week, month after month, year after year in that newspaper, and obviously you want to continue to track it, because sometimes the advertisements don't do as well. You don't want to be continuously running advertisements that don't make you money or that don't at least break even, because what will happen after a while is, obviously, you're losing so much money you're going to be out of business. So track your success and track what it's doing. Here's another interesting little point in terms of tracking your success and figuring out if you're doing good or not. A lot of people think they need to make money immediately in direct mail or in their business to be able to be successful. That's untrue. A lot of times when I run advertisements, I actually break even the first month on my advertising. So for instance, maybe I'll spend $100 on an advertisement here in Pennsylvania, and I'll generate back $100 in sales. Okay? And to the average person, you might think, well, geez, that was kind of dumb, I broke even. No, not really, because I might have generated 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 or more leads or prospects of people that are interested in this type of business. Now, I might have only sold $100 worth of my products or services or business to those people immediately, but I've got all those names now which are an asset to my company or an asset to my home-based business. Because I can offer them other things now to purchase. I can offer them either the same thing again, or I can offer them a monthly subscription. So month one, maybe I broke even, but maybe month two, if people are renewing memberships, or if they're buying from me again, or if they're buying something else from me, then I'm going to be able to generate income over and over and over again, month after month, from those prospects from that first advertisement that I ran. Here's the interesting thing. Those prospects, the second time I want to use them, or I want to mail to them, or I want to approach them with something, cost me zero. Right? The cost the first time to generate them was $100, but the second time that I want to use them, they actually cost me zero. So now they're free for me to use them again and again and again and again if I choose to. If I want to sell them something else, or if I want to sell them something related, or if I just want to try to sell them the same thing again. They're a free prospect, so it's definitely worthwhile, even if you're breaking even. And you know what? Sometimes I'll continue running advertisements even when I'm losing a bit of money. Obviously, if I'm losing my shirt and I'm, spending $100 and only getting back $5, that's really not a good deal. But, if I'm spending $100 and I'm only making $60 or I'm making $80, sometimes I'll continue also advertising, because the second month I might make another $10 or another $20. Then the third month I might make another $20. The fourth month I might make another $10. So I may still be profitable. It just might take 2 months or 3 months or 4 months or 6 months or 12 months for that prospect or that group of prospects to be profitable for my business. Here's the next thing you need to do. As you're advertising and tracking your success and figuring out which publications are the best, whether it be offline or online, magazines, newspapers, pay-per-click advertising, whatever it is that you're doing, once you start finding the successful ones, you need to start reinforcing your success. Here's how you do that. There's two methods, basically, that I use to reinforce my success. The first way is that I use the same advertisement that I wrote, and I put it in more publications. So, for instance, if I ran a small classified ad in a weekly newspaper in Los Angeles or in California, or New York or wherever, and it worked, what I'll do is I'll take that exact same classified ad, and I'll go run it in Pennsylvania, and I'll run it in Florida, and I'll run it in Minnesota, and I'll run it in Michigan. I'll run it all over the place because it was working and it was successful. Now, I'll continue to track my success in all the other states and see, as my ad gets, more exposure, is it generating the same results? I obviously want to track that, but, reinforcing my success in multiple publications all over the place, once I find an ad that's generating me good numbers of prospects or it's generating me a profit, I want to just start expanding out and reinforcing that. Here's the other way to start reinforcing your success. It's to start taking your offer with your advertisement into different venues. So instead of just running all the newspapers, you might take that same advertisement, the same offer, and run it online, or run it in a magazine, or run it on different kinds of direct mailings or postcards or whatever it is that you have available to you, and trying some of the different mediums for that same advertisement, for that same offer. And that will continue to help you grow your business to the level that you want. There is so many different mediums of advertising available to us out there in terms of newspapers, magazines, print publications, direct mail options, postcards, online advertisements. There's hundreds of thousands of different websites we can advertise on, so there's never going to be a shortage of people to approach or places to place your ads. The important thing is to obviously have a good ad, write a good ad, and then track your success and reinforce the success where it's working. And if it's not working somewhere, dump it. Don't be scared to just get rid of it, because you can always try new places or new advertisements or new lead sources or new places to find, to be able to get traffic or to be able to get eyeballs on your offer. Now, another thing you're going to want to do is test different advertisements. Once you've found a really good ad that works, okay, and it's working in, let's say, 5 newspapers, and then 10 newspapers, and then 20 newspapers and a magazine, and then 30 newspapers and 4 magazines, you never want to sit back and think that that's the only ad that works or that's the best possible ad. Here's the neat thing. If you try a new ad in either the same newspaper, or in different newspapers, you may find that your advertising response or your response from your prospects might double. Think about it. If you're getting 100 responses from an advertisement today, and all you do is you say, hey, I'm going to try a new ad, and you test a new ad, you might get 200 responses from that same publication, but with writing a different advertisement. All right? So don't be scared to test different ads, even if you have an advertisement that's working. I always say, listen, let's get an ad that works. Let's reinforce our success with that ad. And then once it starts to grow bigger and bigger and you're having success and you're becoming more and more profitable, let's test a few new ads and just see if they work. See what's the best ad. Because you can always go back and change all your advertisements to the better ad if it's going to produce better results. I always say when I'm advertising, especially classified advertising in newspapers or magazines or even online, I'm advertising for volume. Okay? Now, what does that mean, advertising for volume? I just want to get the most possible people taking action on my advertisement, period. Okay? And this is a strategy that I've used for over a decade, and it works over and over again. I don't want to disqualify anybody by what I say in my ad. Okay? I want to write it a little more generically than you might think would work or would be good. I want it to be a little bit intriguing. I want to leave something to the imagination so that more and more people will see the ad and just say, I wonder what this is. I wonder if this can help me. Look, it says it's going to provide me an income, or it's going to help me work at home, or it's going to do whatever the benefit is that they're getting from responding to the ad. But it's not going to say so much that people start thinking, well, that's not for me, or this isn't interesting, or that's not really what I want to do. I want to advertise for the most possible responses all the time, because once you put those people on your prospect list, you can prospect to them over and over and over again. A lot of people out there, especially salespeople, will say, well, no, I only want to talk to the 5 best prospects, so I'm going to provide them with so much information in my ad or so much information in the initial contact that I'm going to just disqualify most of them, and I'm only going to talk to the 5 that really want my offer that I can sell to. Well, that's great, except you don't want to do it on your advertising. You want to do that later on in the sales process. On your initial advertising, you want to get as many possible names and phone numbers and addresses and email addresses that you can possibly get to be able to offer your opportunity or your product or your service to, because today might not be the day that they take you up on it, but tomorrow might be, or the next day, or the next day, or the next month, or the next year. Once those prospects are on your list, unless they ask to be taken off of it, you never have to remove them, right? You can choose. If you want to send them a mail piece every month for the next 12 months, you can do that. All right, you're entitled to. They ask for information about your opportunity, about your business, and you can continue mailing them until they buy or until they request to be removed. All right? So just think about that. You pay for the lead once, and you can use it over and over again as long as it's profitable for you in your business. So always advertise for volume. All right? Always advertise for the most possible responses. And then during the sales process or during your business process, you can start to work those numbers down. Hopefully you got a lot out of our advertising, classified advertising, online advertising kind of talk today. We did talk specifically about getting attention and getting a good response from an ad, and that being the number one thing that you're trying to accomplish. We talked about the headlines and the call to action in the advertisement, specifically getting them to do what you want them to do. And then, of course, I talked a little bit about making sure you always track your success and reinforce your success in more and more publications and more venues to be able to get more and more volume of prospects for your business. Listen, advertising and classified advertising and this type of business is not difficult. You just have to be willing to take a little bit of a risk to write an ad, to maybe spend a few dollars to get the advertisement out there to see if you get a response, and just track it and treat it like a real business. And continue to test and try things until you find what works. I'll tell you what, when I first got started in a home-based business, I spent a lot of money advertising, trying things, testing things, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't work. That was the best training I ever had. And I didn't have anybody teaching me about classified ads or teaching me about what to say and what not to say and how to write it and where to put it. They didn't teach me about that. But what I did was I took the opportunity to just say, you know what, I'm just going to try something. I'm going to throw a bit of money into it and see what happens. Now, classified advertising, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on. Spend $20 on an ad. See what happens. Spend $30, $50, $100 on a few ads. See what happened with them. See if you get a response. All right? And then what you can do is you can track your success and reinforce it to grow your business bigger and bigger. Hopefully this has been helpful for you today. I encourage you to continue building your business to be able to generate yourself a really long-term successful income with us. And I look forward to continuing to work with each and every one of you.